I apologize, just online meetings is a new experience for me, so I prepared this as kind of poster. However, I think we may go with this. By definition, procrastination is a kind of perpetual postponing of important tasks and doing less important tasks. This also means that postponing task is the postponing task is always kept somewhere on the background of memory and usually actualizes and then assessed and then again shifted from these important tasks to less important. So thus we suppose that subjects with high procrastination level will have a kind of facilitation of mechanisms which are responsible for task shifting and also mechanisms which are responsible for remembering of future activities, of planned future activities. So this feature of remembering future planned activities is called prospective memory. In our study, we have run 3 conditions, experimental conditions. The first one was task shifting, and second one was perceptual prospective memory task, where subject has to decide that he plans something based on some perceptual features, actually on words which are represented in capitalized manner, like as a stimuli. And the third task was a conceptual prospective memory condition, when subject has to return to some conditions which were encoded as kind of semantic condition, like memorizing animals. So what we have in all our 3 tasks had similar trial timings. So they consisted of fixation stage, of task during which subject had to press a button, and empty screen, and a feedback screen. And we have 20 volunteers, males from 18 to 22 years old, who participated in our study. And we used a pure procrastination scale. And due to this questionnaire, we classified subject as subject with high, low, and moderate procrastination level. Regarding to our tasks and to behavioral results, we didn't have some differences between low-level procrastination subjects and high-level procrastination subjects in task shifting condition and in perceptual prospective memory condition. So this means that these tasks didn't actualize or activate some specific mechanisms of behavior and specific neural mechanisms. However, for conceptual prospective memory condition, subjects show differences, and first, those subjects with high procrastination level, they made less wrong answers. It was like 10% difference between subject with low procrastination level and subject with high procrastination level. So they were actually ready to answer, to respond. As for reaction times, the subject with high procrastination levels, they also had a lower reaction times. And this was especially significant for wrong answers. So when there was a condition when a subject was hesitating whether the answer is wrong or was doing an error, so he or she actually responded quickly if he was a procrastinator or had a high procrastination level. And regarding our ERP responses, we found that during conceptual prospective memory task, there was a difference in electrical activity, in evoked activity, and subject with high procrastination level, they have significantly higher response, and mainly during 300 milliseconds and 250 milliseconds. So we consider that our results show that subject with high procrastination level, they have facilitated mechanisms of remembering and recalling what is stored in their memory about future activities. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Illia. Any questions? Don't be shy. I'll get started. So you made the decision to separate the subjects into high and low procrastination based on the scale, the rating scale that they filled out. What would happen if you should have just included all the subject and treated them as a sort of a continuous trait and correlate that with sort of the task performance?
So we can just may only speculate on this because we just, it's a fresh study and we have a very fresh results. So of course, making a kind of correlation and looking at some continuous dependencies is a very interesting and promising approach, and we'll maybe go with this approach later on. I think that there will be, but actually I think that there will be a less difference between subject with moderate level of procrastination and low level of procrastination. Subjects with high level of procrastination, they will have much higher differences in behavioral and electrophysiological results. Maybe kind of this may be also mediated by specific attitude and emotional responses, emotional activity of the brain. That's my opinion about this. Actually, I do not know exactly, but I suspect that moderate and low level subjects will have similar results, while those subjects with high procrastination level, they will have much different results from these two groups.
So you don't think it's necessarily a linear relationship between?
Yes, I think so.
Sorry, we have a question from Alexei. How do your findings relate to the existing knowledge in the field? Could you briefly point at its existing state and the relevance of your results within the larger literature?
Mm-hmm. So actually, to our knowledge, there are no such studies of procrastination, and actually the neurophysiology or neuroimaging of procrastination is a very low studied area. We just have found only 1 or 2 studies which used fMRI and electrophysiology like EEG for assessing type of procrastination activities. And especially we selected a very specific area directed to how procrastination may influence specific psychophysiological functions like memory and task shifting. So to our knowledge, no studies were done in this area.
So Alexei has a follow-up question. So where do you see your study going in terms of its practical applications? What do you hope to achieve from learning about this relationship between procrastination and sort of task performance?
Mm-hmm. So Actually, what is an interesting point in here that procrastination is not only something which can be considered as a bad feature, because what we have is actually increased activity of some specific brain mechanisms which allow to manage better with tasks. I mean, not better, but those people may show better performance in specific kind of tasks, like recalling some things from memory. And another study, of course, is that currently the procrastination is only viewed in terms of emotional activity of the brain, it's viewed as a specific stress factor for subjects. But also we show that this effect of procrastination may be related to different psychophysiological functions, and maybe this direction may be useful for better dealing with procrastination.
So we have a question from Ingrida. She says, hi, interesting results. Have you tested if subjects perform other tasks differently, or if they differ in fluid intelligence, scores, or other psychological or personality features and measures?
Yeah, we used few tasks. Actually, we used some testing. It was working memory testing and back task. It was also a Revit matrices, but we actually haven't processed this data yet at the moment. So I hope when we will have this data, we will publish them.
Thank you. Any other questions? So where did this procrastination scale come from? Who developed this? Is it something that's commonly used in the field, or is this a relatively new?
Okay. It's a common test which was developed not long ago. So if I remember, it's like 10 or 15 years ago. Actually, if you are interested in this area, you may refer to email, which is presented in here, because actually I've done a neurophysiological part of the study mainly. And this testing was done by by my colleagues, and I'm not good in answering this question actually. So I've used just their approach to process the results. I mean, I've used the scale to separate data into different groups, but I'm not very familiar with, closely familiar with this test. Actually, I've seen it, I've passed it, but so answering more detailed questions about this scale is somewhat hard for me. Actually, it's present in the internet. You may easily find it. It's open, and it includes like 15 or 20 questions, so far I remember. It's kind of
pretty easy to take. It's not a long test.
Exactly.
So you've taken it. What was your score? High or low?
Oh, it was moderate, but closer to high, actually.
I wonder if you survey graduate students and postdocs, if they score higher than average.
Exactly.
All right, we just have a minute left. Any other questions for Illia or any of the other speakers? Feel free, speak up. I'm disappointed not many of you chose to turn on your cameras, but I understand. If there aren't any other questions, I want to thank our three speakers. Great job with everybody presenting your results. Thanks to everyone.